Welcome to the Slow Way podcast, a space where we explore slowing down, finding presence, and living intentionally. I'm Shruti, a holistic life coach and a yoga instructor, and my purpose is to help you clear out blocks that are keeping you from showing up as your best possible self. Together, we will learn to hold space for each other as we navigate through life and explore the depths of what it means to be human. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slow Way podcast. Today, we are going to explore a powerful mindset shift from the victim mentality to the victor mentality. And the shift is about reclaiming your power, taking responsibility for your life, and showing up for yourself first every single day. Let's get into it. So, right off the bat, the first step in moving out of the victim mentality is to take responsibility for yourself. And I know this may sound oversimplifying it, but it's often the hardest part because it means you have to really acknowledge how much we actively participate in our own suffering. And this isn't to say or to blame yourself or engaging in punishing yourself. It's really about calling yourself out, but with a lot of compassion. It's about recognizing the ways that you've let external circumstances or even your limiting beliefs to keep you stuck. And I think this shift really happens when you stop pointing fingers at others and instead focus on what you can control. That's when something really powerful happens. You shift from a place of helplessness to one of empowerment, and suddenly you're really not waiting around for someone else to change or for life to get easier. You realize that the key to change has always been in your hands all along. And once you really fully recognize that, not just intellectually, but at an emotional level, you realize that everything and everyone that happens to you in life is a bonus to your well-being and not essentially the foundation of it. And once that sinks deep within you, that's when real freedom begins. And in a way, you need to really fill your own cup first, and that's where self-reliance comes in. And by no means am I saying become hyper independent or shut people out. Of course, we all crave meaningful relationships and we want someone to witness life with us side by side, and that's beautiful. But the foundation of any relationship, whether it's your partner, friend, family member, any of that, it cannot come from a place of compulsive need. It cannot come from a place of desperation. It has to come from a place of unconditional love and acceptance. And so the core of any healthy relationship has to be love, not dependency. Expecting people or things to fill the void inside you is so toxic. And I have called myself out very recently for it. And the more we live, the more we recognize our triggers, and triggers are so potent. I love it. In the moment, of course, I don't love it when I'm triggered, but in retrospect, I feel like every time I have gotten triggered, and usually it's the people who are near and dear to you, they are the only ones who are really capable of triggering you. And when you really sit with that emotion, you realize that it's really not about the person who's triggering you. What is it in me that is getting triggered? And I go straight to that. It's easy to point fingers and it's very easy to assign blame to somebody. But I think the real growth happens when you take full responsibility of what is it in me that is still getting triggered and address that, because that's the only thing you can control. You really have no control over how people show up, but you certainly have 100% control of how you show up for yourself, and that is the crux of healing. So now the next time you catch yourself, the inner voice in the head creating a narrative of victimhood, observe it and don't talk back to that voice. And that's the first thing that I do, is that catch myself from talking and engaging with that voice in the head. Let it speak, it's okay, and recognize, okay, this is what I'm feeling. Sit with that emotion. And I'm by no means am I saying shut it off. No, we have to really address the core issues here, right? Because if we are just going to skim through the problem and assign blame, oh, it's because of this person that I'm feeling this way, automatically you are in that victim space now. And that's very easy to do, right? It's so easy to assign blame to somebody else and say, oh, just poor me. No, it's like trying to stop a tidal wave with a paper towel. Please, let's not do that. It's not going to happen, right? So in that moment, hold space for yourself. When it feels overwhelming, remind yourself that it's going to pass. Emotions are temporary, right? A good day is always just a feeling away. And these things, they come in waves. It's always that ebb and flow. In that moment, do what you can control. Engage in self-inquiry and reflect on your own patterns, right? Get curious about what is really driving your emotions. And that's where journaling is so helpful, because when you start writing your emotions down and when you start writing how you have been feeling, you start to see tangible patterns. You start to see, oh, so I always tend to victimize myself in a situation like this, or in that, whatever the context is, right? So you really need to pull yourself out of that and empower yourself and and that can only happen when you take full responsibility of your own well-being and not expect people around you to take care of you. Everyone is doing their best, and it's very unfair for us to expect anybody to hold space for you if it is beyond what they're capable of. Now, let's take this one step further. A huge part of moving from the victim mentality is to learn how to self-soothe your inner child. And when we are stuck in a victim mentality, if it usually stems from a place of deep, deep emotional pain that we have carried with ourselves since childhood. And the inner child is still looking for love, safety, and reassurance. And one of the most healing things you can do is to talk to your inner child like you would talk to a real child in distress. Imagine a scared or an upset child standing in front of you. Would you criticize them, or would you tell them to, like, oh, get over it? You're not going to do that, right? You will kneel down, look them in the eyes and say, I've got you. You're safe. It's okay to feel this way, and we'll figure it out together. And when I say it, it just makes me so emotional, because practicing this kind of self-talk when your emotions feel so overwhelming and reassuring yourself with kindness is so beautiful and so crucial. And the more you practice this, over time, this will help you build emotional resilience and self-trust. And when you prioritize your well-being, you'll stop using people. And I know we're not doing this consciously, but in a way, we are using people as cogs to plug the holes in your life to fill those voids, right? And once you fill those voids yourself, now whatever relationship you create, that will be from a place of abundance and not a sense of lack. There is so much love within you. That same love you feel when you choose to rescue a spider and release it into the bushes instead of crushing it. You know, even that smallest of a decision comes from a place of love. And so recognize that there's a well of love inside you that you're constantly pouring out into the world. Please pour that into yourself. So simple habits like nourishing yourself with good food, reading really good books, exercising, just engaging in activities that fuel your mind, body, and spirit, that's such a beautiful way and a very basic way to show up for yourself every day. Just get dressed every day, even if you have nowhere to go. Take care of yourself and the space that you live in, and honor your needs first, right? And that's such a beautiful way and a very simple way to start filling your own cup. Now, when you choose to thrive, and it doesn't have to be right off the bat, no. The thriving part is usually something that kicks in later. Be comfortable first, being uncomfortable, right? And don't rush that process. If something has hurt you, sit with it. Do not try to brush that under the rug. No, that's only gonna double down and blow up in your face later. Just sit with that emotion and reassure that inner child. And slowly, you will shift to the victor mentality when the narrative changes, when you stop seeing yourself as a victim. And once that shift happens, you will reclaim your power. And it's about taking charge of your own life, even when it's messy. It's really about thriving, not just surviving. So we are not going to wait for someone to rescue you, because that's putting your life in someone else's hands. And that's unfair, not just to yourself, but it's unfair for the other person as well, right? So, yeah, I think as we wrap up today's episode, just remember this, that you are responsible for your own life. And that's not a burden, that's deeply empowering. And yeah, thank you for joining me today. And if this episode did resonate, please do share it with someone who might need to hear it. And as always, just remember to take things slow and steady, one step at a time. Lots of love. Until next time, bye bye.